Alright, so it's late in the day, it's finally cooled off. Here in the Central Valley in August and September, it gets regularly into the hundreds. So, it's beautiful out right now. So here in my garden, I have a ton of amaranth. I have a bunch of orange giant amaranth, which is what we're talking about today. I've got some albino orange giant amaranth, which looks greenish, whitish. And then I have a couple stray amaranth that look like lovers lie bleeding, but mostly it's orange giant amaranth, and I love orange giant amaranth. It's my favorite amaranth. I started with just a seed pack from Baker Creek Seed Company, and I actually have the seed pack still, and I started with one plant that survived my first year and adapted, and then all those seeds grew. And it was like a half cup from one plant, and then everything got huge and crazy. And here, let me just take this down for you right here so you see, because that's how tall it is. You see that? Yeah, it goes all the way up. So there's these huge seed heads. There's these huge seed heads. Let's just take an easier one. The amazing thing about these seeds is they're a grain but have no gluten. They act like quinoa, and the birds don't really eat them. The deer kind of eat them. So, as you can see here, we've got seeds, and we can just throw them back and they'll grow back. Or we can collect them, and we can do that just by walking around with clippers like this. And you can take the whole head off like this, and then just toss them down. And you lose some seed if you don't have like a bucket to catch them all in. But at the same time, it's just gonna grow back right there. So not that big of a deal. It's amazing. It's the most prolific plant I have, and it just keeps growing and growing. And deer come up and they nibble at it, and then what happens is it regrows, and then I take some, and then it regrows, and then it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. And I love it, and that's why I grow it everywhere, and that's why I grow it really big and on the fringes of where I water. And even though they look, oh, so sad, yeah, they're all so sad, but they're still giving us tons and tons of seed. And not only that, the seed's much more resilient because it's not in a place where it's getting babied. So I save all the seeds, and I just mix them because I know that the resiliency will be there, and I have a full genetic expression, and it's going really, really great. And that's why I have all these albinos showing up, because I'm breeding and breeding and breeding these plants every year and expanding my genetic base. And so all these different cool things are coming out now that we have a bigger family. So the more family members you have, the more variety you see in your family. So the more plants of a certain type or plants of a certain kind that you have, especially when they're different kinds of the same family and you interbreed them, you get all these cool variations that happen. And you can take part in that with almost any kind of plant. You just have to follow the rules for that plant. And then we'll get a little bit of that later. So, the mighty orange giant amaranth. Yeah, here we go. This one here. I have enough amaranth here to supply everyone who needs it, because it only takes a handful of seeds to start this whole chain reaction within a couple of years at your place. If you buy a big pack, oh boy, you're going to have it everywhere, and you're going to have food, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing when food grows everywhere. And then you can just share, and then it just doesn't cost anything, and then you can just return a surplus. The cycle of life participating in orange giant amaranth. It's mighty, and you can be too. So check it out. That's it for now. Lot to do. So I don't know how much this is exactly, but this fills up about a storage bin full of space. You'll need to dry this down in a place where you won't lose any of this seed. And then you're going to want to use gloves and rub them, because then the seed will be perfectly dried down. Everything will be a little bit spiky and spiny and not as pleasant as when it's wet and moist like this. At that point you can separate the seed from all the other little bits, like separate the wheat from the chaff, separate those things. You separate it from all the different little bits of plant matter. And you end up with perfect seeds, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that next. Alright, so now you've cut it, you've taken it home, and you've collected it. But now you need to dry it down. You need to make sure that the seed has lost all the water and moisture in it, so that when you put it in the freezer for long-term storage, it doesn't split when it freezes. And also, it doesn't rot, it doesn't start decomposing. Because food, as we know, and seeds are food, seeds, just like food, will decompose. So I'm hanging the amaranth heads here above, and what that does is that allows it to really quickly from all sides dry out really, really fast. And I can just take it off from here, and it won't be all floppy like this. See how this is all limp and floppy? When you take it off, it won't be like that when it's fully dried. When you take it off, it'll be all stiff. Let's see if I can even get it out. Here's one I dried down. And you can see that it stands up straight. The leaves that were once a problem and annoying because they were holding so much moisture, they're no longer a problem. Yeah, so you can just take those off, just separate those out, because you don't want those leaves in the mix, because they're pretty dense. The fluff around the seed, the chaff, will blow away, but the seeds will stay and the sticks will stay. So you want to try to be gentle when you do this and not break up too many sticks that are in here, and remove as much of the leaf litter as possible. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Seed saving, it's remarkable how you can do it the wrong way and still have plants grow, because plants are naturally wanting to grow, and so they naturally just want to do what they're doing. So they're just going to keep going, and we just have to help them along the way. So let's do some seed saving. It's Pyrex pie dish that I use for seed saving because I like the fact that I can see everything really clearly, and that the sides of the bowl allow for the chaff to easily flow out. And I'll show you what I mean right now. So you might want to do this with gloves. See how I'm removing everything off the stick? The idea is that you just want to protect your hands. You just want gloves. But for today, this is just fine. So, see, I'm just removing the sticks one by one at a time. It doesn't have to be like hard. This isn't a muscular motion. It's not a contest. It's just seed saving, and I love seed saving. And then some of the ends are like still moist and have underdeveloped seeds in them, and I just throw them out. And sometimes in the areas where I'm doing this, little seedlings will grow at the end of the season, and I'll be able to get a second crop from just seed saving, from just the seeds that I rejected or were blown away because they were too small to stay with all the others. So I'm almost there. Kind of gather it up and you can grab those last sticks. I do this thing where I rub my thumb against my fingers here, like that. And then I put the stuff between it. That really helps. You're going to come up with your own technique probably. And it all depends on the seed size, your hand size, and the way you learn how to do things. And it's different for everyone. I play music, and I taught myself how to play music. And I play music totally different from everyone else I've ever met. And that's okay. Alright, so now we shake it. And I like to do this circular motion and tilt it. So when I blow, what happens is the seeds end up here and all that ends up there, and so that the collections of the chaff up there I can remove with my hands once I can see that there's no seeds in them. So these little seeds, this is what all that work is for. One of these little seeds can make a plant that is over 10 feet tall, provide food all season. Seeds like you wouldn't believe. And this all came out of, this is like a seed pack, came out of one teeny little branch. And you can see the smaller seeds and the holes of the seeds and the immature seeds. All that's going to get blown away. Just like that. And then I noticed that this is kind of this like tough gnarl. This area over here. But it's because there's no seeds in it and it's kind of moist. Alright. Just about there. And you can pick out little pieces that don't belong. You can just see them. We just end up with this little amount of seed from that little branch, and it didn't take any electricity. Each one of these seeds is going to be able to grow another one of these giant plants, these giant orange giant amaranth. It wasn't hard to do. I just left this in the front yard for a week or two, and then it dried completely out, and saving seed, just took a pie dish. Anyone can do this. Right now, you could be doing this. That is the orange giant amaranth. It is mighty. It is prolific. It is huge, and sometimes the bases can get this thick, or I have a couple that I can't even touch my fingers around. And that's just within adapting in three seasons to my property. So the same thing can happen for you. And you can get orange giant amaranth from Baker Creek Seeds at rareseeds.com. Highly recommend them. They're amazing. And I hope you'll try out amaranth this year. Right, so this is where we cut that amaranth from. And what I did was I chopped and dropped the stalks back down in the leaves, all that as coverage for the soil. So that now what we have is we have an awesome like mulch, heavy mulch, thick mulch cover crop going in. It's going to allow for the soil to be protected so that this soil is enriched and will hold more moisture. Because right now this soil does not hold very much moisture, and that's why it needs to be watered. And we need to ferment the soil. We need to break things down on the soil so the soil microbiology picks back up and the soil life comes back and holds that moisture in the ground for us. Because nothing else is going to do it. We could water all day, we could salt the soil, we could do all these things, but it's not going to make our plants grow better. What's going to make our plants grow better is soil life. And orange giant amaranth brings so much biomass. It brings so many leaves and such big stalks and so many seeds, and it spreads over so much area that, and also chia mixed in here, and sunchoke, that it brings so much biomass that it really helps change the environment of the soil really rapidly, which is amazing and awesome and something we should all be striving to do. And you can too.